Okay, in this section right here, we're going to talk a little bit about the Apache web server and how to install the web server. Now, again, this content is designed for complete beginners, so if you're not a beginner, you will probably find yourself going to sleep in about the next 3 minutes.
Right.
Okay, so wake up, Adam. So knowing how you're an expert with working with web page development, etc., I figured I would be kind enough to do this.
Right.
Kristen, tell us what a web server is.
It's software that will give you information, send you information.
Well,
based on
Adam,
URL.
I'm sure you could probably spice that up a little bit for us.
Well, it's a piece of software that might sit on your desktop or wherever. That'll look okay. Not in the
that was
desktop,
even more
but
wrong than Kristen.
Yeah, okay.
But you were kidding, right?
He even told you the answer before.
You winked. No, I didn't. I told you the answer before, and you just got it wrong. I didn't tell Adam.
That looks at.
Don't lie. You're so evil.
He's answering the question.
I'm trying to.
All right. So anyway, so web server is.
Yeah, it's a piece of software that looks and basically.
Okay, never mind, Logan.
No, I don't even know.
Go ahead.
Okay, a web server monitors for incoming connections and like web page requests.
Okay.
And waits for someone with a web browser to try and connect to it. When it does, the web browser requests some page, and the web server looks for that page, and if it exists, it sends it back to them so they can view it in their browser.
So basically,
it basically responds to HTTP requests or web page requests.
So to sum it up, basically it's a piece of software that's running on a computer that is monitoring for an incoming connection or something coming in from another computer on a particular port, if we want to get really technical.
Yep.
And it's basically when a computer asks for a web page to be delivered, it's asking a web server. Web server takes a look at what page is being requested, sees if it can deliver that page, and if it can, it delivers the page.
Exactly.
Close enough?
Yep.
Okay, so there are several different types of popular web servers out there that you can install on your computer. And what we're going to take a look at is how we can install the Apache web server. So the first thing we need to do is show you guys where you can find this at. So if you want to go out there and read a little bit more about it, you can. Does that sound good, Logan?
Yep.
So first thing we'll do is we'll go ahead and open up the Internet Explorer. That has been resized, so we will just resize it back down. And let's make it fit in our recording area here.
Whee!
That's a nice save. Now all right, we're going to go to www.apache.org, apache.org. So here we are at the Apache website, and to find the software that you're going to need to download, if you look over here on the left-hand side, you'll see Apache Products, and you'll see HTTP Server. So just go ahead and click on HTTP Server. This is what we want. And then from there, we'll go ahead and come down again on the left-hand side and look for Download. Once you find Download, you can download from a mirror or you can download from here. We'll just go ahead and click Download from here. All right, now we're getting into the files that we can actually download. Now, we're running Windows 2000 here, so we're going to be looking for the Win32 files to download. And there are two different ways, or two different file types that we can download. We can actually get the source files. Isn't that correct, Logan?
Yes, I believe it is open source.
And which means that we can actually get these, make modifications if we need to suit some type of feature that we may need implemented in our web server and then recompile it, right?
Or that's actually used more on Linux-based or Unix-based systems where when you configure something that's low level in it, you usually have to recompile it. You have a config file that gets built into the actual binaries, and that's why you would use the source.
Right. But see, right now, Adam's looking at us like we just shot him in the foot, so we're getting too complicated. We want to keep this beginner.
For those of you that don't know, I'm a complete beginner in this. So.
Yeah, he is. But we're just going to pretend like Adam's an expert the entire time.
I am a pro.
Okay. So as Adam just pointed out, what we want to do is we want to look for the pre-compiled binaries. Well, watch this. You are a pro. The binaries are what?
It's just a series of zeros and ones.
Series of zeros and ones or ones and zeros?
Yeah.
Low-level machine, already compiled, ready to talk straight to the machine?
Yeah.
Okay, you said so. So we'll go ahead and come in here to the pre-compiled binaries. And from there, what you need to do is go ahead and come down and look for the system that you're going to be installing it on, like Linux or IRIX, etc., OS2. But in our case, we're looking for Win32. So we'll go ahead and click on Win32. And the ones that we're interested in right now is going to be the Apache 1.3.24, Win32, x86, nosource.exe. Okay. Once you found the file that you want to download, go ahead and click it, and we're ready now to start downloading it to our system. But this is a 5 meg file, and we don't want to spend a couple of minutes just sitting around yakking while it's downloading.
Right.
So what I have done, we'll pretend I hit save and everything. I'll go ahead and close this out, and I will download it at the speed of a simple mouse drag. Ding, there it is. Okay, so I've already downloaded it.
That was fast.
I know,
What
isn't
kind
it?
of connection do you have?
Must be DSL.
I have the Buzz connection. So now, once you've downloaded the file, this is how easy it is. Just double-click it. Okay. So now it's starting the install shield, and it's pulling everything out and getting ready. And here she goes.
Apache.
So now here we are inside the Apache HTTP server installation wizard, and go through and just read next. And, they give you a little bit of an agreement that you can go through and make sure everything in here is nice and cool, read through it. And if the answer is no to any of these, of course, say I do not accept, but that means you're not going to be able to install the software, right?
Right.
I mean, it's not like you can tell them, no, I don't like your agreement, but let me install the software anyways.
Exactly.
Okay, so in
Since
this
we
case,
read it word for word.
since we have, of course, with a fine-tooth comb. That was your job, actually. We'll tell it to, I accept the term. Well, we're not going to do boring stuff like that around here. That's what you're for.
Yes.
I know. And you know that, too. That's the beautiful thing. So I accept the terms of the license, so we'll tell it yes, and go ahead and move over to next. And now, what is it? What is Apache? Blah, blah, blah. Just in case you were surfing the net and found some file and downloaded it and had no clue, it's nice enough now to tell you a little bit about it. And I'm just kidding. You can find a little bit about information about the latest version, documentation, some warnings in here in reference to installing on different OSs, problems, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. A bunch of information here. Feel free to read through it. We'll go ahead and go next. Now we're looking for a little bit of server information. First thing is going to be network domain, and what we'll do is we'll set this to localhost. The server name. What we're doing is we're setting this up just as a local web server running on our own machine, so that we can test stuff out in. Okay, that's all. Right, Logan?
Yeah.
Okay. So localhost. We'll go ahead and type localhost again. Now, but by doing this as localhost, am I setting myself up, Logan, to where other people can't get to my little web server?
Actually, no. If
Okay.
they have the IP address to your machine will then be running as a web server, so you can still get to it.
Absolutely. And if you want to hack my system, the IP address is, I'm just kidding. So localhost, administrator's email address. Let's just go ahead and throw in buzzbj@3dbuzz.com. And let's see, we're going to install Apache. Run as a service for all users, and we'll take a look at the service here shortly and talk a little bit about that. And that is recommended. Or run when started manually, only for me. Of course, Jason Busby is the account I'm logged in as. I can come in here and start it up and stop it only when I need it. But I'm going to leave it as recommended right now, which is just going to run as a service for all users. Let's go ahead and hit next. Now I have the option of going in here and doing a complete install or doing a custom where I can select or deselect features that I do or do not want to install. But in this particular case right here, I'm going to go ahead and leave it on complete because, this is a beginner CD and we don't want to start getting into things that are too complicated. So we'll go ahead
Yes,
now.
please don't.
Oh, you want me to do custom?
I said please don't.
Oh, okay. I'm just playing. So with complete checked, I'll go ahead and say next. And it's now asking, am I ready to install? This is my area. I'm going to go ahead and change the area from C program files, Apache group. For those of you guys out there that are following along with this, as long as you got enough space on C drive, go for it. This is the default and suggest it. Now for me, I'm going to go ahead and change this over to K drive, which is just a special drive I've set up for the making of this VTM. So go ahead and tell it OK. And now everything's ready to go, so I'll go ahead and tell it next. And we'll hit install, and away it goes. Now it's actually installing the software. It's installing the services. It's going to get things going, and it's just going to take a minute. So, Adam, so far, what do you think? Has it been overly difficult?
Oh, no. No, it's actually kind of registered with me, so we're doing good.
Here we go. A bunch of little windows popping up, more popping up. Okay, server's up, running, and we're done.
Wow.
That's it.
That's it?
That's it.
So now we have a
VTM's
web
over.
server.
Bye.
So we've just installed the Apache web server. We actually saw where we could go to on the internet to get it, retrieve it, turn around, install it. Now let's prove that it's running.
Awesome.
So I'll go ahead and hit finish. Okay, so now we don't have to reboot or anything. I'll go ahead and open up the Internet Explorer again. And what I'm going to do is come in here and I'm going to go to, there's two different ways I can do this. I can go to http://localhost, which is what, we just gave it a second ago. Go ahead and hit enter. And there you go. This is the default page that you're going to get when you first install Apache Server. And now I'll just go ahead and read it out real quick, just our part of it. If you can see this, it means that the installation of the Apache web server software on this system was successful.
Yay.
That's a good thing,
Nice.
right? And you may now add content to this directory and replace this page. You're ready to go. Seeing this instead of the website that you expected, well, you may have some problems and, need to do some stuff. And we'll take a look at some of the things you can do if you don't see your web page in just a minute. I just want to go ahead and show another thing, though. There's another address that I can go to as opposed to just localhost. I can also go to my own IP address, right, Logan?
Yes, that would work.
And that'll bring me back to myself. Or I can also go to 127.0.0.1. And this is an IP loopback, okay?
All right.
So what it's going to do basically is just loop back to my own machine. So if you don't know your IP address, of course, you can quickly
And this is
find
a
it
universal number?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
For any machine, it's just built into the whole.
No matter what your IP address is, it's...
Yeah.
All right.
It's just built into the whole TCP IP thing. So we can click on this, and boom, there we are back, still looking at the same thing. Now, this is all fine and dandy, but A, where do I start putting my web pages? B, I want to see a web page.
Right.
I'm ready to make a web page. So let's go ahead and close out our browser. And I've got Notepad here on my little fake desktop. We'll go ahead and open up the incredible Notepad. And yes, I know you guys out there how we can do head and end head tags. I mean, I'm not getting in to HTML development. That's not what this whole VTM series is about. And we got the body tag and all that stuff. But I'm just going to keep this just ultra simple. Just come in here and I'm going to do an H1 tag and say my very first web page. And I'll go ahead and close the H1 tag. And what do you think, Logan? Pretty sophisticated page?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is some complicated stuff. Adam, you think you could handle this?
I actually knew that to begin with, and that's kind of scary.
Okay, that's it. I need to put this inside of head tags and all. What do I need to do? I'm
No,
just
no,
kidding.
no,
It was just worth seeing the look on your face. All right, so File, Save As, and let's just go ahead. I'm going to save it here in the K drive, and we'll take a look at what we need to do with it in just a second. I'm going to go ahead and call this index.html. And let's go ahead and change our type over to all files so that we save it with the HTML as the extension. And we'll hit save. And we're going to talk about why this name in just a second. So we'll go ahead and close this out. And I'm going to open up my little K drive right here. And up underneath it, I've only got two things right now. I've got the index.html page that I just created. This is where I saved it. And I also have program files. All right, now this is what's pretty important. First of all, when you come in here and you start up your browser and you tell it to go to localhost, what it's going to be doing is basically it's going to talk to that Apache server, and the Apache server is going to say, okay, he's talking to localhost, and he didn't specify a particular web page file that he wants to see, so I'm going to check to see if a default file exists and give them to him. Well, obviously, this default file has got to have a specific name, and it is. By default, in the configuration, the file is index.html, all right? But now what I need to do is put this in the proper location, right?
Right, because there's a certain folder that Apache looks for files to serve.
Absolutely. And if this isn't in that folder,
Right, it's not there. It gives its own
It's not
default
gonna
page.
find
it's not going to search your whole hard drive for you. So where is this located? Well, first thing I'm going to do is let's just go ahead, and I'm just going to move this out here so you can kind of watch what's happening. So I've moved it out here. There's index. Now let's work our way to where this special folder, as Logan just talked about, exists. First, I'm going to go into Program Files. And, of course, you'll probably, for those of you out there watching this VTM, you'll probably have tons of different program files. But there is the Apache group. I'll go up under the Apache group. And up under there, you'll find Apache. So I'll go under Apache. And then you're going to start finding a whole bunch of stuff all related to the Apache server, okay, and supporting files, documentation, etc. From here, we're looking for a folder called htdocs, okay? So we'll go up under htdocs. And this is where, by default, you should put all your web pages, right?
Right. This
Okay.
is where Apache looks to serve web pages.
Absolutely. So, look, and I should be able to just take this file right here and move it on over and go back to localhost. And since this does have that default name,
Right. Then it would see that for the default page.
awesome. So let's try it out. So I'm just going to middle click, drag it over, tell it move it here. Okay, so there it is, now up in the right area. Let's go ahead and open up our browser again, and let's come back into localhost. What do you know? My
What do you
very
know?
first web page.
Hooray.
Hooray. Okay, now it's the end of the VTM. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Now we see how we
You really
make
had
our...
me going there.
I know I did. So now that we've got our first web page in here, I guess we could spend just a minute. Again, this is just for newbies, but go ahead and talk a little bit about the configuration file that Apache server reads in to determine where this special folder is, what is the file that it looks for by default, etc. Okay, because later on when we get into the PHP section, we're going to have to come back into this config area and make some modifications, aren't we?
Exactly.
So it won't hurt for them to see it now, right?
Right. Then this is different sections than what PHP will be dealing with. It's good to see anyway, when you're setting up a server.
So, Kristen, where do I find this area at?
What? The config
Yeah.
document?
Let's
go
just go
back
ahead
to
and
the
minimize
Apache
this
groups folder.
Okay, so I'll just go ahead and back up a little bit. Program files. Okay, up under program files, Apache groups.
Click Apache.
Okay, go into Apache.
And that one.
We'll go up under the
I was trying
config
to
folder.
read. I'm like,
From the config folder, now, what are you looking for?
The HTTPD, that one.
This look good to you, Logan? HTTPD config file, CONF.
That's it.
So if we just take this guy, I'm just going to right-click on it, open it with. Good job, Adam. Good job.
I'm so great.
I'm going to come in here and just open up in Notepad, and there it is. A whole bunch of information in here. You'll see these little pound symbols all the way throughout this file. These pound symbols are for what, Logan?
For comments.
And in other words, information to the person reading through this file, but they're not things that actually get processed.
Right. When Apache reads this file, it ignores anything after a number sign.
You got it. So now we're looking for a few things. First of all, what I want to do is point out that this file is all about how the server is going to function, period. Server type, standalone, the server root, located in this area. There's just all sorts of information in here. So we keep coming down. And there's information with it, too, like timeout, the number of seconds before receives and sends a timeout, 300. So you got 300 seconds. Just digging down through information, digging. And while I could do a quick search, you're just going to, all the modules, we'll be adding modules a little bit later. The port, when I mentioned earlier that the requests come in on a special port, here's where we set the port at. 80, of course, is default. Remember the old server admin email address that I put in during the installation, busbyj@3dbuzz.com? There it is. We keep on digging down. Server name, local host, huh? Now, if you want to change it.
wow, it's
You
magic.
do that? Yeah, it's magic, whatever. So document root, okay, so here it is right now. If you remember just a minute ago, we saw that we copied the index.html page over to the program files Apache group, Apache htdocs. Now, what I want to do is minimize this for just a second and say, what happens if I come in up to my K drive here, there's program files. I want to set up a folder in a different location than I'm going to put all my web pages in, and I don't necessarily want it buried up underneath all of that Apache stuff, okay? Maybe this is on a separate hard drive, or you may have your own reasons. What I'm going to do is right-click, go ahead and do a new folder, and I'm going to call this folder here web root, okay? All is one word. And I'm going to go ahead and open up my config file again, and you see here we are, document root, okay, /. And instead of it being there, I'm simply going to come in here and change this to web root. Okay? Now, let's save this out. And Adam, quick question. That index.html page, it's not up under web root, is it?
No.
So when I go to run local server again, what's going to happen?
It'll probably bring up an index page.
Probably bring up an index page? All right, so we have saved it. I know I just saved it once, saved it again, whatever. Let's go ahead and open up the browser, and what do you think? You can't think? No. So he's whispering off camera. What do you think, Kristen?
What do I think?
Yeah, what am I going to get?
No, it's going to give you a forbidden.
Am I going to get a forbidden?
Yeah, I think it will.
Why is that? Local
Because
host.
your direct root is under the web root, but you have nothing in there.
But it still comes up, so both of you guys are wrong.
You need to restart the server.
There you go. Anytime you make changes to the...
That's what you were going to say the first time, too.
Yeah,
I was like, I wonder if you got to restart the server.
I know, but you were so unsure.
I know.
Never mind. So anytime you go into that HTTPD config file, you need to restart the server afterwards. Well, how do you reset the server? Let's go ahead and just minimize our little guy down there. And to restart it, there's a couple different places you can do it from. I'm going to come in here and open up my control panel. And from my control panel, I'll come down to Administrative Tools. And from there, I've got my services. Go ahead and open up Services. And let's move this down into our little recording area. And you'll find Apache inside here. Just simply select Apache, and then you can go ahead and do a restart service. And this will cause it to stop, restart, and during the restart, Apache will reread the config file. So let's go ahead and do it. And there she goes. Good, good, and it's done. Let's go ahead and prove that. So we'll just close all this out. We'll go ahead and open our web page back up. We'll refresh it. Now we've got the forbidden. Okay. Forbidden. You don't have permission to access on the server. Access, well, at the root anyways. So how do we set permissions? Well, not that I'm going to get all into setting stuff up, at that level, but I do want to just go ahead and talk about this real quick. We'll go ahead and come back into the HTTPD config file, and you'll find if you come down just a little bit lower after document root that you're going to find another area, okay? And this area starts to get all into permissions. Isn't that right?
Permissions and options.
Permissions and options. Options, indexes, follow some links, multi-views, etc. Indexes is what we're interested in right now, right?
Yes.
Just so that we don't get a forbidden, we actually can go in there and at least see an index listing of everything, right?
Right. Indexes will show an automatic listing of what's in that directory.
So, and basically in this section right here, I can get in here and as basically have a start directory and an end directory right there. I can go in here and put multiple directories and set options and permissions on all these directories.
You could start another directory tag to a specific folder.
This being a directory tag.
And then you can set different options on that folder.
These being all the options, absolutely. Okay, so but we're not going to get deep into that. Instead, let's go ahead and just come in here and adjust this to say web root, okay? And it's just going to inherit the options that were already in here for the initial root that was set up. So with that in place, file, save. And let's go ahead and move this out of the way. Now, this next thing, I'll just drag it over there because this is going to be outside of the viewing range. But I'm going to go ahead and come up into Start, Programs, come down to Apache Server. And I know you can't see this. It's up under the Control Apache Server. And I'll just simply right-click and bring out a shortcut. There's Restart. Okay, again, it's found up under the folder options from the Start on the taskbar. So I can just simply click this guy, and it's going to restart the service for me.
Oh, that's nice.
It just saves me from having to dig down through the control panel, services, and all that stuff. So it's been restarted. So what we'll do is we'll open up our browser again, and let's refresh the page. Look at that.
Ah.
So now instead of getting, forbidden, now we're seeing index of and blah, 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 blah.
Right.
But we need to stick our file in there.
Exactly.
Okay? So right now, let's go ahead and minimize that. If you remember, our index file that we wrote, our incredibly cool, sophisticated web page, was located up under Program Files, Apache Group, Apache, and we'll just scroll on down here, and htdocs, and there it is. Okay, we don't need it there no more, right?
Right.
I'll just go ahead and middle-click and move it out over here. Yes, I know you can cut and all that good stuff, but I'm trying to make this as visual as possible. Now what we'll do is we'll just come on back up to our K drive. We'll go up under Web Root, and now I'll just simply middle-click and move this into Web Root. Okay, so there it is. Again, I'll go ahead and open up my little web page, and let's refresh one more time. There we go.
Nice.
My first web page, and it's now pulling it from this new location that I've set up. Okay, pretty handy, right?
Yes, a lot easier to get to.
So I guess there's just one more thing we want to show for this Apache section, and that is sometimes you may not want to use the file index.html as the default page that's going to get started. Agree with that?
Yes, some HTML editors might save to HTML by default.
Sometimes you might want a PHP page to be triggered as the default page, right?
Yes, you could also want that.
So how do we change this? Again, we need to go back into Apache's config file. So back into the HTTPD config file, and then from here we're looking for something different. Instead of searching through things, let me just show you this. We'll just come in here and do a Control F to find it, and we'll look for index.html. Find, and there it is.
Blammo.
So directory index, HTML. Let's change this to say HTML. I'll just simply take the L off the N, save the file. So file, save, and we'll just go ahead and minimize that for the moment. So if I come back into my web page, what's it gonna do when I refresh this?
Something that you're probably not going to expect, considering you didn't rename the file.
No, it's going to do the same thing because you didn't restart the server.
Okay. So you saying I didn't rename the file?
I don't think so. Did he?
Nope.
Did it not get renamed? So we need to take a quick peek at the file again. So let's just kind of move that down for a minute, and let's rename it. Very good. At least Kristen was going to fall for it.
Okay, act like that
I'm
was your
just-
evil plan.
Oh, yeah, shut up. All right, now what's it going to do when I refresh it?
Same thing.
Because...
Oh yeah, you already renamed it, but it's not going to do what you want it to do because you haven't restarted the server.
What? No, that's right. What do you look...
Yeah. Oh, nothing.
So we'll restart the server again. Just use the little click icon.
And now it'll bring up my very first web page.
There you go. Using the .htm as the default page.
Right.
So now that you've seen how to change it, so I guess if you think about it, we've looked at a pretty good amount of content in this section right here, haven't we? I mean, we've shown where to go to find, where's the Apache website, how do you download it, where you find and download it, and all that good stuff, how to install it on your system and the things to answer, how to go in there and verify that everything's good, where to put web pages at, where to change the config file, how to restart the server. That's a pretty good amount of content.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, so anything else, Logan, you want to add? Or
That's about it. Your machine's running as a web server for testing stuff now.
Awesome. So with that, that'll conclude this section. Thanks, guys.